Okay, and with that, it is now my pleasure to introduce the President and Chief Executive Officer of AUSA. Please welcome General Robert Brown.
All right. Well, welcome. I'm glad you're here. We got some real experts out there. I'll tell you, I see folks that have been involved in health and holistic fitness for 10, 15 years working it. So it's great to have you here. We had a test this morning, see how many of you passed. Did anybody notice the donuts out there? Chocolate covered, sprinkled donuts. Come on, raise your hand if you had donuts. All right, I got to tell you, I was tempted to eat about 20 of them. But just thinking about what the form was, said, no, I'll wait. And I might have to eat that one there, though, the example. But great to have you here. You know, the Army's greatest asset is people. Creighton Abrams said, people aren't in the Army, people are the Army. We all know that. It's absolutely key. When you look at what we'll cover here today, is so critical, and we're making such incredible progress out there with the Army really dedicated down to brigade level. Getting those experts out there that can help really implement health and holistic fitness, which is, again, as I said, is really developed over time. And so just a tremendous opportunity as we look both, for where we are now and kind of, as you see in the panels, we got some tremendous panels, industry experts who are here, and we thank you for being here, academia, and then military experts. We've got, Sergeant Major of the Army, retired Grinston. They're unbelievable how he's worked this and is expert in the area. Brigadier General Deidre Tehan. I don't know a better expert since she was like a captain. She's been working on this. Unbelievable what she's done. And then folks like General Retired Vince Brooks as well will be here. And you talk about an individual that is all about the soldier and the health and holistic fitness. So we've got great panels. I'm really glad you're here to participate in that. Now, before we dive in again, just real quickly, I want to thank our sponsors again. We cannot do it without you. Really appreciate you being here. And back to the sponsor thing. And again, I know for us, it makes a huge difference, and we really appreciate your effort to help. Couldn't do it without you. Okay, so let me introduce our first speaker. And we're going to talk about individuals. It's all about people. I don't know of an individual who's done more for soldiers than our first keynote speaker. Chaplain Major General Bill Green currently serves as the Chief of Chaplains for the United States Army. He's a native of Savannah, Georgia. He joined the Army when he graduated from high school, took a brief, temporary absence to go become an ordained minister, and then come back in as a chaplain, of course. He has 1989 Distinguished Military Graduate of Savannah State University. He's got a BS in Criminal Justice, and additionally, he's got a Master's of Divinity degree from Emory University Candler School of Theology, and his military education includes Command General Staff College and National War College. And there's a variety of other education he's done. He's deployed in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Joint Forge, and has served in many assignments around the Army. I was honored to serve with him as U.S. Army Pacific Commander. And I have never seen a better chaplain, a better individual, absolutely unbelievable. So without further ado, Chaplain Green. Bill, the floor is yours. And I'm going to, obviously, when you look at him, he doesn't eat many donuts, so I'm taking this with me. All right.
Good morning. Hope everybody's having a great Army Day. Thank you, General Brown, Lieutenant General Francis, of course, Lieutenant General retired Les Smith, Sergeant Major of the Army retired Daly, Lieutenant General Harder, and of course, Brigadier General retired Haley, and all of our friends of the United States Army, and to everyone in this room today. If you're in person or online, welcome. Thank you all for taking the time to participate in this critical discussion. We are here today because we care. We care about our soldiers. We care about their families. We care about the strength of our Army. And we care about one another. No matter your role, Whether you serve in government, military, or industry, or academia, you play a vital role in shaping the, I think my regiments get my attention as I take my badge off. Yes. Thank you. Yes. So let me like rewind real quick before I put my badge in my pocket. So no matter your role, whether you serve in government, the military, or industry, or academia, you play a vital role in shaping the future of our force. You are leaders and partners with the United States Army Chaplain Corps in caring for the Army family. And might I add, that is something that we've been doing for almost 250 years. This year, we'll celebrate our 250th. It's no surprise to you that we live in a fast paced, complex world. Challenges come at us from every direction, sometimes with no warning at all. And in the midst of it all, every soldier, every leader, every family member, every DA civilian, everyone participating today, indeed, every human being asks two fundamental questions. They are, do I matter and do I belong? Now, these questions may not always be spoken aloud, but make no mistake about it, they are always there. And our answers to these questions largely depend on the quality of our relationships, on whether we feel truly seen, valued, and connected to those in our lives. Now, our relationships, they absolutely shape a sense of purpose, our mental and emotional well being, and ultimately the strength of our force. Because at the end of the day, people don't just need to be strong, they need to know that they belong, and they need to know that they matter. So, not so long ago, I was talking to a chaplain, and he shared a moment from years back while he was sitting around a fire with a group of soldiers, battle tested men and women. And they sat there listening to the crackle and the pop of the flames, watching the sparks fly up and disappear in the night sky. And then, out of the quiet, a seasoned NCO leaned forward and said something that has stuck with that chaplain ever since. He said, "Chaplain, sometimes the hardest part of combat isn't the fight. Sometimes it's going home." Now, that hit me because that NCO wasn't just talking about reintegration, he was talking about connection. How can you stand shoulder to shoulder with your brothers and sisters in the fight, trust them with your life, and then come back home and feel utterly alone? And let's be honest, many of us, if not all of us, have wrestled with the challenge of feeling connected, especially in the difficult times we've experienced and in their aftermath. So, just over a year ago, then U.S. Surgeon General Vitek Murthy issued a public health advisory, something that is reserved for the most urgent national concerns. And his warning was clear. Murthy said, America is facing an epidemic of loneliness and isolation. And what does that epidemic look like? Half of US adults say they feel lonely. And only 39% say they feel truly connected to others. And the highest rates of loneliness, they are found among young adults, many of whom wear our nation's cloth. This epidemic of loneliness isn't just about emotions, it's about survival. Decades of research show that chronic loneliness increases the risk of anxiety, depression, physical illness, and suicide. Loneliness affects the body, the mind, and the spirit, and it weakens resilience. And in the military, That means it directly threatens readiness. So our focus today on the resilient soldier is timely. And I believe that what we discuss here today, how we can care for our soldiers, their families, and our communities, will make a difference in the lives of real people. So we're going to delve into this topic to find out how we, as individual members and leaders of organizations and installations, can help the Army deliver combat ready formations and build healthy, safe, and connected communities that enable us to grow through adversity and strive in all circumstances. And we all know that health and holistic fitness is the Army's #1 investment in soldier readiness and lethality. But H2F is more than a program. It is more than a box check. It is the foundation of warfighting excellence. And like General Mingus says, we've got to be able to get to the fight, win the fight, and get home from the fight. That's what holistic health and fitness is all about. A resilient soldier isn't just physically fit. A resilient soldier is strong in body, mind, and spirit. And resilient leaders, they don't just survive hardship, they carry difficult missions to their conclusion. Resilience is more than just looking back or bouncing back from hardships. It's about standing strong and ready together for the next challenge, the next mission, the next fight, knowing that we can trust the people on our left and on our right. And here's the truth: that kind of resilience isn't built in isolation. It happens only in genuine connection. It happens when leaders invest in their people, when soldiers look out for each other without exception, and when Army organizations and installations become places of strength and connection, not just for those who wear the uniform, but for their families and our Army civilians too. Speaking of families, let me say this clearly. Our soldiers do not serve alone. Behind every uniform, every mission, every deployment, there is a family. And sometimes we don't talk about them. We honor their resilience, but we don't always acknowledge the weight they carry. We ask a great deal of our families, both in war and in peace. And time again, they absolutely answer the call. They hold the line at home. I know my family does. And they do that so that soldiers can hold the line in combat and also in training. So that's why we must do more than thank our families. We must stand with them, we must support them, and we must strengthen the communities that sustain them. Because let's be clear, family readiness is also Army readiness. And a soldier who knows his or her family is cared for is a soldier who can focus, win, fight, and endure. So today is more than a discussion about an interesting hot topic. Today is an opportunity for us to explore how we can make a difference across the disciplines and domains by answering a few questions and more. First of all, how do we build soldier readiness? Strong in body, mind, and spirit. How do we strengthen families, the very heart of our communities? And how do we create and sustain the Army organizations, the installations, and the communities our people need? I believe the answer to that question starts with what leadership and community expert Charles Vogel calls the campfire principle. Now, think about it. What keeps a soldier in the fight when things get tough? It's not just his or her training, it's not just their grit, it's in many instances the person next to him or her. It's the team. It is the sense that they are a part of something much, much bigger than themselves. And that is where the campfire principle comes in. Warriors, explorers, and leaders have gathered around campfires for generations to reflect, to plan, to strengthen their resolve. Families and friends gather around the campfire for hot dogs and s'mores. Some of you have probably done that as well. But everybody, I believe, loves a good campfire. But the essence of this experience, of the campfire experience, it transcends the physical elements and setting. Campfire moments are more than the fire itself. They're about what happens around the fire. And campfire moments occur in all kinds of settings. And wherever they happen, they create an atmosphere that encourages reflection and real conversation, and, might I add, connection. Campfire moments light a path for people to find a sense of health and well being in their relationships with each other. And these campfire moments are where trust is built, where burdens are lifted, where people realize they belong, and yes, they matter. And here's where it gets real. H2F campfire moments happen every day in our formation and on our installation, or at least they should. It's the platoon sergeant who pulls a young soldier aside after a tough training day, not just to correct him, but to check on him, to see how he's doing. It's the battalion commander who builds a culture where soldiers can have an honest conversation because resilience is built in trust, not silence or fear. It's the chaplain sitting in the motor pool at the end of a long day, quietly listening to her grieving soldiers and offering a steady presence when words are simply not enough. And it's the squad leader who has built such a strong team that PT extends to a Saturday hike for fun. And here's the thing. These moments, they are not on the training calendar. They aren't laid out on fancy PowerPoint slides. But they are decisive moments of leadership. Because when we create campfire moments, when we build a culture of connection, we strengthen our army before the battle even begins. So I told you about the Surgeon General's advisory. It outlined 6 national strategy or key pillars that included things like strengthening infrastructure, mobilizing the health sector, and reforming public policies. Things we certainly need to do, for sure. But the most important pillar is pillar number 6. Pillar 6 calls for cultivating a culture of connection, a culture rooted in core values like kindness, respect, service, and commitment to one another. The Surgeon General reminds us that a culture of connection is vital to creating the changes needed in society. And while programs and policy can be helpful and impactful, the informal practices of everyday life, the norms and culture of how we engage one another, how we listen to one another and lead significantly influences social connection. Our shared beliefs, and values drive our individual and collective behavior that, when shaped around programs and policies, they help. We cannot be successful in the other pillars without the underlying culture of connection. That's the good news. It means change is in our hands as a community, as academia, as an army. And like Winston Churchill said, shape your surroundings and they will shape you. We absolutely become by doing. The actions we take, engaging and listening and leading, will shape the culture of our Army and deliver disciplined, cohesive, and combat ready teams. The teams we need. This is our challenge. It is our opportunity. And today is about learning to partner with one another in a new way or in new ways to ensure we have a connected Army, connected warfighters, connected families, and connected teams. Now, this mission takes all of us. Senior leaders set the visions, chaplains, religious affairs specialists, mental health professionals, and H2F performance teams build resilience. Industry and academia bring research and innovation, and families and community, they provide stability. And readiness isn't built in isolation. It's built on tough, shared purpose, struggle, and shared sacrifice. So for 250 years, the Army's greatest strength has never been its weapons and technology. It's been our people, united in purpose. History has shown us American soldiers, strong in body, mind, and spirit, are unbeatable. American families, strong and connected, are force multipliers. And Army leaders who invest in connecting their people ensure that the force endures. This is the Army we must build, and that is why we are here today, because your leadership matters. Your expertise matters. Your people matter. We're especially grateful for the panelists who will join us today and help us explore how we can build solid partnerships to help ensure our warfighters and their families are strong, healthy, and connected, and ready for whatever challenges the future brings. We have the right leaders in this room and online to get this done today. We absolutely do. And I want to thank you for participating today. And thank you for the continuing effort for tomorrow and beyond. May God bless you, and may we have a wonderful, wonderful time today learning how we can build an Army that is absolutely connected with all of the elements that we mentioned before. Thank you very much.